How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of Frankenstein. He's one of the strangest tales ever told. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. Well, we've warned you.
You have been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast that dissects the Universal Frankenstein film series 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Lang.
And I'm Bill Evenson. And we are talking about minute 30 of the original Frankenstein. And Henry is still talking.
He's pontificating.
He's very philosophical.
He is very philosophical.
He says he's talking about learning what eternity is, which makes me think that perhaps his success has intoxicated him.
A little bit, yeah. But there's some genuine hurt in his voice as he says, but if you think like that, people call you crazy.
Yeah.
You know, there's genuine hurt there. There's
Yeah.
genuine... He knows, I think, that what he's done is kind of fucked up. He's still proud of it, but he knows it's a little out there.
Yeah. It's an interesting place he finds himself in because, as you say, the being called crazy stuff clearly bothers him.
Right.
But he says, I wouldn't care if they did call me
Right.
crazy. He's like, you really cared
You
when that one
really-
guy
yeah,
called you crazy.
Yeah, you
It
got...
really seemed to almost drive you a little crazy
Right.
when that happened.
Right.
And you know, so he's done this. This is his life's work, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess from the outside, it's tempting to think this is his life's work. But this guy talking, he's got ambition. He's not finished.
He's
Like,
going
this
beyond.
Is just, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
First, there was the heart beating for 3 weeks. Now I made a dude.
No, yeah.
Who
What do you
knows?
got? What do you got?
Eternity. Maybe I'll learn what eternity
Yeah.
is. Change darkness into light.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
he's gone off the deep end.
And with some reserve, some calm.
Yeah.
He's we covered it a little bit last time, but you know he's teaching. He's going to teach
Teach the teacher.
Teach Waldman.
Yeah.
The tables have turned now.
Yeah.
You've got to understand.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to be.
This is a new world now today.
And it's understandable how someone gets to that point, but that is sort of that hubris and the pride
totally.
Before the fall.
Right.
And the fall starts pretty quick here.
It's gonna start fairly soon.
Fairly soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be too many more
couple weeks
of this podcast
Yeah.
before. I mean, in real time, I don't think it's weeks before the fall starts.
No, it's several minutes.
Minutes.
Yeah.
It starts in minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the speech is beautifully written, but it's beautifully played by Clive.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's that subtle changes in his tone, his face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this could easily have been ranted,
Yeah, true.
you know, by a lesser actor.
By him.
By him.
He's
We've
ranted.
seen that. We've
Yeah.
seen him. But again, it's just this beautifully, you know, and he's got that velvety voice.
Yeah, true.
That just it's beautifully done. In going through this movie as insanely as we have.
Yeah, and especially it being where we're at now, where we're on the verge of the thing that's going to change the whole movie.
Change the whole tone. Yeah.
At this point, we've now spent quite a bit
half
of time
an hour with
mostly with Clive.
Right, and I really appreciate how good of a job he does in this film. How perfect he was for this role.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much was then tailored to him for the shooting script, but he captures it just dead on.
Yeah.
Little things like, you know, come on up.
Yeah.
In the script, he's supposed to be like waving his arm up to,
Yeah.
and he doesn't do that. He remains perfectly still. And
Yeah,
it's
he's a
just,
person.
It's perfect. Yeah.
He's a person who behaves
multifaceted like a person.
like a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fritz doesn't behave like a person.
Fritz is a character.
There's
Fritz-
nobody like Fritz in the
No,
real world.
no, Fritz
There's
is-
nobody like Victor.
Well,
Sadly.
Sadly.
The world's mainly Victor.
mainly Victor's, yeah.
But yeah, no, he's absolutely a person. Hey, Waldman isn't as well rounded
No,
as a
he's not.
person. The Baron certainly
Baron
isn't
is
a person.
Baron is a caricature.
He's a caricature.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vogel.
Vogel is a puppet from a silent movie.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So yeah, Clive fully deserves the billing.
The top billing, yeah.
You know who is a person is Elizabeth is a person.
Elizabeth is a person, yeah.
I think it's important every time because I definitely don't want to give anybody the impression that I think Elizabeth is a great character. She still does exist as a reaction to the man.
Right.
So that absolutely is important
she's not
to point
the
out.
height of feminism.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
exactly. But she is a
having
person.
said that, she is much more so than most 30s.
Then we're likely to see again. Well,
Yeah.
no, we'll see some. In fact, we'll see one in the next, let's say, in about 4 years. We'll see a woman that's actually she's maybe not. Yeah, they all still kind of do react. I was gonna say when Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, the Frankenstein in that film is a
woman.
character in her own right.
Yeah.
But she's not a great
She
one.
really doesn't. She's not.
really
she
do
doesn't
anything.
really propel the story.
Yeah.
Not that Elizabeth
But
does.
she's not. She's not like just a romantic lead.
No, she's not as fluffy as most. Not that Elizabeth propels the story, but Elizabeth gets shit done.
Oh yeah.
They're at the Watchtower because Elizabeth insisted.
Yeah.
Later on, Henry's back home because Elizabeth brings him there.
I really dragged us off the point. Point is,
Clive is
amazing.
great. Yes.
And he is a person, and he's especially now.
Very
when
three-dimensional.
You see him. Well, this whole scene is not in the shooting script.
The scene is that speech about have you never wondered,
Mm-hmm.
or have you never wanted to do anything dangerous? That isn't.
Okay.
That was
so where
added.
does this scene starts about now or whatever?
Yeah. It's basically it's arguing between the two of them about whether it's
Okay.
going to be a monster or not.
Well, so let's go
Then
into
let's
that
go
part.
in that direction. And
One of the things that Waldman says is, "You're young, my friend," which I think is interesting because that's a phrase people use, "my friend." It's not something Minnesotans generally say to each other.
No, not really.
But are they friends?
I think it's just like a colloquialism, or
Yeah.
I mangled that word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just a platitude.
I don't know though, because they're having a nice chat. Henry's opening up in a way that I can't imagine him doing with Victor or Fritz
Right.
or the Baron.
Right. Oh, certainly
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he addresses that later.
Yeah, that's true. He's about to say that.
Yeah.
Spoilers for I think it's next week.
Next week.
Yeah. So it's tempting to think maybe they are friends.
Maybe because Waldman stuck around. He's there
True.
2 days later
That's right.
after witnessing something I would have to say pretty shocking.
Yeah.
He's still there. He's
Yep.
he's there to help Henry.
Yeah.
And he does throughout the remainder of the sequence.
I think you're right, because you could argue he's not necessarily. Maybe he's there because it's important, not just to help Henry, but his concern for humanity, or at least Goldstadt. He's worried how this is going to play out.
Maybe. I think there's some of that, but I don't think that's the sole reason.
I agree, and
Because
I think he does think. So when he says
he shows genuine concern later on
Mm-hmm.
for Henry,
yeah,
and he's expected at the wedding.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I won't
so there you
spoil
go.
any more of that. But so
You're
he-
young,
he-
my friend. He's true.
he's
It's
friend.
true.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Your success has intoxicated you, which we do a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That is absolutely what's happening there. He's right to say that.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah.
But it's fine because his success is so great that you'll give him
You
some
should
leeway.
give him some slack.
And he's not.
Yeah.
He's not. He certainly could be worse. He's not proposing. I will create an army of monsters. And
Right.
we
No, he's
will-"
not the usual mad scientist.
Right.
See, usually when this film in particular, or this genre, is spoofed,
Mm-hmm.
you get the raving, wild-haired, bug-eyed, lunatic, quote, mad scientist that Henry's not.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
Vogel is the raving,
Vogel is
bug-eyed,
the bug-eyed, wild-haired, yeah.
He thought he could be Burgomaster someday, and look at him
yeah,
now.
Yeah. What a buffoon.
But yeah, that's a really good
he's
point.
he's not the stereotype.
Mm.
It doesn't exist yet, I don't think.
It doesn't exist yet. Exactly, because it's tempting to say he's the first one. I guess he is the first
is
one.
kind of, yeah.
Because
I mean,
what you
okay,
find
we'll go
before
back to
that is
well,
it all springs from the novel. The first mad scientist
this
is
is
probably
basically the
Frankenstein
first
from the novel.
science fiction novel.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say there is a little bit of that raving mad scientist from Metropolis.
Oh, good point.
He definitely has the wild hair, extremely eccentric.
I think Caligari.
Caligari.
But it all springs from Frankenstein. Is why I guess I'm getting at.
Yeah. It goes back to 1816. Yeah, we're calling it. There it is.
We're calling it. You got no less an authority than
That's right.
Frankenstein Minute.
That's right.
We're clearly not biased.
Not at all.
We're calling it.
Yep.
No, I think and that's okay. So that's what makes this great, is because we do have Metropolis and Caligari and
All the
whatever that came
progenitors
before
it.
and they've got an actual real character here.
Yeah.
And
Who
from
could
this
have-
moment on, he's not that guy that was raving before. He
No.
he was raving, but he was also reacting to whatever situation he was in.
Wouldn't
at that
you be a
moment.
little
He's a little on edge.
little edgy? Wouldn't you be a little wound up
Yeah.
if you were in his shoes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think so. I think it's deserved.
Yeah. At this point, now that it's happened, and I think I mentioned this before, but now that it's happened, he's right. So that makes everything different. If you
Yeah.
come up, it's a little simplistic, but if you come up with an idea that people think is crazy and then you actually implement it, then afterwards everyone just looks like an idiot
Yeah.
and you look normal.
Yeah.
But when it's coming,
Yeah.
you look like a real idiot. And so then that makes you on edge just there because no one's going to help you
Right.
other than Fritz. But also, the idea itself is so abhorrent. You got to fucking be a gravedigger
Yeah.
to pull it
yeah.
off.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked up what a fiend is
Fiend.
because I just wanted the definition.
Fiend whose brain.
A fiend is an evil spirit, a demon, a devil, a wicked or cruel person. And this is where I start to part. Well, I shouldn't say start to part ways, but this is one of the ways I part ways with Waldman.
Waldman. Yeah.
He's convinced that this is a fiend,
Fiend.
and the reason is because, well, I guess that's what happens. What they talk about next.
Right.
The fiend whose brain. Henry interrupts him to say. Well, his
Perfectly
brain
good.
is needs to be
Give him
given time to
time.
develop. Which I think is interesting that he interrupts him at that point because Waldman says, "Fiend whose brain." Well, what was he going to say? Clearly, he was about to say
it was
stolen from my fucking
Yeah.
classroom.
Yeah.
It was that Fritz fucker, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So he's clearly about to say that.
Yeah.
How does he know that it was that's what happened?
It's pretty good deductive reasoning, I
Yeah.
would think. I mean,
I think
what else?
it's
Who
okay.
else? Who else would have?
Well, first of all, he came to his classroom. There was glass on the floor, a little bit of brain.
Yeah, and the other one's gone.
Well, is that what it is? So he can tell? I guess you're right.
'Cause they would- the
It's
label
not like
would
it was
have-
a big mess. There was a little bit of glass,
Little
but you could
glass
say,
and
well,
fluid,
this
and
isn't
there's a-
two brains.
Right, and the label would have been on the floor from the normal
All right,
brain,
yeah,
and
that's
the other
true.
one is not even there.
You know, he is a scientist. He put it all
You
together.
see, he is. He's a learned individual.
The brain that was there had a scarcity of convolutions
yes.
on the frontal lobe. Or
That's
was
right.
it
No, that's the
a
criminal.
lot of
Criminal brain had
It
a
had
scarcity.
plenty
It had plenty of convolutions on the frontal
lobe. Ouch. Now I know what happened. The scarcity one
Yeah,
must be
it's
gone.
Like, oh, that's why he's been so upset this whole time. No, I'm serious. That's why he's been so reactionary about everything, because he knows it's that brain.
Well, and that is okay.
And
so
this-
that's what he's about to say. Fiend whose brain.
Yeah.
Henry interrupt.
We should know. I took it from your laboratory.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing to me. I don't know, maybe I'll make too much of it, but fuck, we're talking about it minute by minute.
Yeah.
He's about to say it anyway, but Henry interrupts him and ends
Yeah.
up saying it.
Yeah.
Like, well, you ought to
You
know.
ought to
He says
know.
it in a snotty
It's
way.
very,
like,
very condescending.
you ought to
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
We stole him from your laboratory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it
Waldman
was
was,
like
about
taunting
to
and-
say it anyway.
Right.
And so then he responds back.
Yeah.
And says, the brain was stolen from my laboratory. It was a criminal
criminal
brain.
brain. Yeah.
Criminal brain.
Now, see, I still argue that this is a clumsy holdover from Florey's draft. Doesn't fit what Whale ended up doing with the story.
And again, I go back to my theory,
Yeah.
which is that it actually really works in the whale context, because the monster needs to have the deck stacked against him as much as possible before he's even born.
Right.
He's not even born, and he's already got strikes against him.
I-
And this is the gay
But-
subtext
but-
again,
but
right?
doesn't he
Because
already-
Whale's not
Doesn't
asking
he
to
have
be gay.
strikes against him already? Just the very fact that he exists.
Yes, well, Whale gives him one more.
See,
I really
don't think it's
so.
needed. I don't think it's needed because the
perfect.
way it's presented, and it's the way it is in the novel, is that he becomes this through the way he's treated by others.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the criminal brain is necessary.
Oh, I see what you mean. I'm not saying that Waldman is right, and neither is Whale.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Is that he's got this strike against him because he was given a criminal brain, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think
Because
that's the key of
he
it.
shows
is,
nothing-
yes, you give me a criminal brain. That doesn't mean I'm a criminal.
Right. He shows nothing of that behavior until provoked.
Right. Because to suggest, as Waldman does, that having a criminal brain means
Means
he's a
you're
fiend.
immediately-
And that's why I wanted the definition of fiend. Again, evil spirit, demon, wicked, cruel person. We're not going to see anything like that.
No.
I don't know what wicked means.
You know what, Wicked?
But he's certainly not cruel. Yeah. he has
not-
cruelty inflicted upon him pretty fast.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Right.
Here. We're
Yeah.
getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
But
give us-
folks,
give us a couple weeks.
We've been pushing to this
Yeah,
moment.
we've been waiting for
Yeah.
this for.
Well, so it's still my contention that the criminal brain thing works because it shows that the monster is given one more strike against him by society, particularly by Waldman.
Well, certainly by Waldman.
But
I
it
don't think-
certainly doesn't imply. But it's not fair. It's completely unfair. You can't judge
So
someone.
you're saying all along Waldman has been wrong about the difference in the brains?
Yes.
Okay, that I'll accept.
Okay.
That I'll accept. There isn't that level to it. Certainly in the Flory script, because he is just literally a howling, screaming fiend.
Jackass.
Jackass. No, he's not a jackass. He's a fiend,
Yeah.
devoid of any personality
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Kind of like some of the later films.
In the later films. Well, that's where this was convenient that they left it in, because that comes into play much more
Yeah.
later
that,
on.
Now then we'll have this conversation again.
Yeah.
And it'll be a little bit different.
It'll be different, yeah. I'm not saying it ever really works.
Just really think that since it's such a strong thing that's driven home just at least 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
that Whale didn't do it by accident. And he knew that was one more strike against him.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
What do I know?
leave it at that.
Okay.
That's fine.
And then Henry writes it off.
You can
But
see
not
he's-
immediately.
No, he's like
He's
he
like,
has that
"Oh,
like, oh
shit."
fuck, what?
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
problem for
Yeah.
me. I don't like this at all. Oh,
Yeah.
also I noticed it's a cigar, not a cigarette.
is
It
it?
looks
Okay.
it's just what it is. He's at the end of it. I noticed it this time.
Okay.
So then he has this reaction. He looks over, and I don't know
Yeah,
if
he
it
looks.
matters.
He
but
looks
does
towards the door.
But is he looking towards the monster?
Well, the
or is he
door-
looking towards Fritz? Like, oh, you fucker.
Fritz isn't there yet.
Well, okay. So where is he? He's
down-
that way.
He's that way. He's down. I think the geography of the room is that he's looking towards the door that the monster eventually comes through in a couple
Yeah.
of minutes.
Yes, I
He's
agree.
Which is sort of figurative for where he is.
Okay.
Through the door, down the stairs, in that room downstairs.
So that's interesting. I'm glad I asked the question. I thought it was a silly question because I've always thought it was Fritz. That he's always every single
Oh,
time
he's
I've ever
looking
watched
over
it, he's
and-
looking over like, oh, you son of a, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
I
I just
like
always,
it
always
either
read
way.
that he's like
Well, now we should kill this thing.
yeah,
Really?
maybe you're right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then he very unconvincingly
Mm-hmm.
blows it off. Oh well, it's no big deal.
Yep.
That's
And I
fine.
think he's telling himself as much.
He's
as
trying to convince
telling
himself.
Baldwin.
Yeah, I think it's more.
Yeah.
He's
probably.
really trying to convince himself that you almost see the
oh,
sweat.
Shit, now I have created a monster.
Yeah, you can almost see the sweat
A
on his
fiend.
forehead. At
Yeah.
that moment, like, it's it's nothing.
This is a piece of tissue.
It's just a piece of dead tissue. It's
Yeah. There's no question
fine.
that he's not convincing.
No, he's not. He hasn't convinced himself. Certainly doesn't convince Waldman, because Waldman continues through the rest of the film that he's in to be. We must kill it. We must.
Only evil can
Only
come
evil
of it.
can
is
come
the
of
last
it.
thing he says in this minute.
Yeah.
And is he wrong?
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
This is Frankenstein. It's not going to be a happy
not
ending.
going to be Frankenstein, not young Frankenstein. So we won't
True.
have that ending.
That one turned out fine.
Yeah, everything was okay. Maybe this one will too.
We'll see.
belong dead.
Prepare for a spine-tingling, nerve-shattering podcast featuring all your favorite monsters. You won't believe your ears when you listen to Monster Kid Radio. Here are your hosts, Derek M. Cook, and his ever-rotating stable of guests discuss your favorite classic and sometimes not-so-classic monster movies. Subscribe to Monster Kid Radio through iTunes or Stitcher, or visit MonsterKidRadio.net before the next weekly episode of Monster Kid Radio. Go through the archives for interviews with Sarah Karloff, Victoria Price, and Joel Hodgson. Listen to discussions about movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Island of Terror, and King Kong. And don't forget convention coverage from Monster Bash and the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. Classic monsters, modern talk, and the head of Rondo Hatton. Only on Monster Kids